So this is our fourth session of Edge Education team. This time it is on the topic of financial wellness, financial planning, money management. So it is all been covered in this presentation that is going to happen today. So I'd like to just start with a basic principle of money management. Do not save money that is left after spending, but spend the money what is left after saving. I hope you understand the point. So with this, I would like to introduce our today's expert speaker, Ms. Padma Priya. She's an expert financial planner, certified from Chartered Insurance Institute UK. Been in this field for a long time, even though she's basically from the technical field, but she's had moved on to the finance field and later decided to give proper financial advices to the people like us who don't have time to manage their money well during this busy work life. And also, I would like to thank Ms. Padma for taking all her effort and coming down over here to give a presentation in front of all of us. I hope that all of us will be benefited in a very good manner. So Padma, we can start off the session.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Rakesh. So good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome. It's so heartening to see so many of you on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, a special thanks. I told that in the first meeting. Yeah. So special thanks to Mr. Shekhar and Mr. Shaheen for taking this personal interest in their employees' financial well-being, which is very, very crucial. And also a special thanks to Mr. Rakesh for having coordinated the entire session. Yeah. So as Mr. Rakesh said, I'm a certified financial planner from the Chartered Insurance Institute of UK, and I'm on a mission to increase families' net worth. Okay, and how do I do that? By sharing the knowledge that I have. Okay, and the main focus today will be goal-based financial planning. Okay, finance is an ocean, so let's focus on one part of it, which applies to everybody. And what is the objective of today's session? It is to increase our financial awareness so we start taking the right decisions starting today. Okay, that's the main objective. A disclaimer, I'll be using examples, so that's not a recommendation of any company, any product, and any reference to unemployment, loss of income. Okay, it's purely for example use. Okay, with the partners here, I have to make that clear. Okay, so how are we going to achieve that objective? These are the topics that we are going to cover. Okay, let this be interactive. If there's anything that you want to ask in the middle, feel free to just put up your hand and ask your question. Okay, it's perfectly fine. So we'll start with awareness to plan to, the hierarchy, right? What all we have to take into account when we put together a plan. And asset allocation, what is your risk profile? How do you identify your own risk profile? And moving on to other, important concepts. I won't say miscellaneous. Okay, let's start. So financial awareness. Now, I came from Mankul to Business Bay. So I knew where I have to start from. Okay, in Google Maps, I put the place where I have to go. So the most crucial thing is the awareness. Where are we right now? What is my balance sheet, right? Balance sheet is a technical term. I'm trying to avoid using technical terms here. Like, what do I own? What is my income? What are my expenses? Where do I have to go? Right? This is financial awareness. So we can talk about investments and everything. That comes much later. Do you know where you stand? Do you have a checklist of what you own? Okay. And checklist, meaning one checklist is for if you're not there and somebody needs to access your bank accounts. And I've given some examples in that printout of what all needs to go into a checklist. Okay. So it is like your bank account number, your login, your password. Okay, and where is the locker? What do you have in the locker? Who has access to it? Property papers, insurance papers. That's one part of the checklist, which is very important. And how do you check whether your checklist is fine? You pretend that you're not there at home. Okay, in your company, I'm sure you do your fire drills, right? When you install something. The reason being, when there is an actual fire, is the building ready to, or not the building? Is your equipment ready to handle that situation? So the same way, tell your family to pretend for a month that you're not there. Okay, are they able to access your bank accounts? Are they able to make the payments? Are they able to function normally in life without asking you for anything? So anytime they ask you for information, add that to the checklist. As simple as that. Okay, and it's very crucial because there are many instances, like I cannot be sure that I'm going to be alive in the next 5 minutes. None of us, right? So what happens if there are children and you are not there, you and your spouse? Okay, so this checklist is very important. Leave it with a friend, okay, a trusted person. So there is no ambiguity when it comes to passing on information. And just a little bit of information. What is nomination? Can somebody tell me? What do you understand by the word nomination? Any volunteers? Anybody can answer.
In case if you have for example, in a bank, you have fixed deposit. Suppose if you are no more,
Yeah.
then there should be a legal person who should be, who can claim that money
Yeah.
on your behalf. Like a
Okay.
successor.
Yes. That's the understanding. Actually, nomination means they get custody of the asset. They don't inherit the asset, right? So it is a very, like, we think, okay, I've nominated somebody for my bank account FDs and it's fine. No. After nomination, the court will decide as per the rule of law who will get that asset. Okay, so nomination alone is not going to suffice. Even if you're just starting off in life, you have a bank account, a house, write a will. Make sure that the person whom you intended for is going to get it. For example, like as per Hindu law in India, right? I'm going to take the example of India because I'm from India. So if a man dies, his property or his assets are divided between his mother, spouse and children. The father doesn't come into the picture, right? So if you have a financially dependent father, you have to make sure that you provide for him. Right? So there are things that we are not really aware of, but it's better to always consult somebody and put a plan in place, even if you're just starting off in life. Yeah? Okay, so now we know where we have to start off from. Okay, we have identified our assets, we have put down a checklist, everything. Now we have to have a plan. Okay, so do I take Sheikh Zayed Road? Do I take which route to come here? Okay, that's my plan. But then I have to know where I'm going. So that's my dreams, responsibilities, retirement plan. So I have to first identify where I have to go. Okay. So many of us think, most of your youngsters, okay, you may think retirement is far off. It is not, believe me. Because what happens is we keep delaying our retirement plan so much that by the time we start thinking about retirement, we don't have a corpus to build enough for our retirement. So always have that end goal in mind. Okay, if you're 25, it's not too far off. You'll have your family expenses, etc., etc. Always make sure that you're paying yourself first, right? As Mr. Rakesh, he took the words from my mouth, I would say. Okay, so if it's for university education, if it's wedding, actually you're paying other people. You're letting the money come out of your pocket into other people's pocket. But retirement is one thing where you're paying your future self. Right? At 60, you're going to look back and say, I'm glad I did that. Right? So make sure you're paying yourself first, which means have some idea of what retirement corpus you need, and always have that in mind when you take any financial decision. Okay? So when you have a financial plan, can I plan without knowing what my income is, what my expenses are, where I stand? No. So again, the plan takes all these into account. Okay? So why is it so important, financial planning? I mean, many of us ignore it, and I think many realize 40s, 50s is when, oh, I should have planned. But why is it important? Because you have to make the best use of your money, right? And we'll see like how different people can start off with the same income but end up in completely different places in life. Because of the way we use our money, the way we invest our money, that determines our net worth. Okay? And you have to be aware of the hierarchy of commitments. First, pay yourself and then spend. Make sure that I want to save or I want to invest X% of my money, and then I decide, okay, I have this amount, I can spend these. That is the best way possible. So have a plan, see how much money you need, put away that money. It's always easy to cut down your expenses. It's all in the mind, right? And good tax planning, UAE, so okay, we are lucky, we don't have to do it. But if you're thinking of investing in other countries, okay, back in India or in Philippines or any other country, we have to have the tax planning in mind. and the debt trap. Okay, now debt is a double-edged sword. No business can grow without debt, right? Reliance didn't become it didn't grow into the size it is with the savings that the Ambanis had. They of course took debt. Okay, but how do you use that debt? So if you're starting off, if you do not have the knowledge, don't go into debt. Don't take personal loans, don't get into credit card loans. How you use that debt is so important. Yeah, so when you're starting off, please avoid the debt trap. Many people ran away from Dubai, okay, during the financial crisis or any other crisis because they were caught in debt. Those who didn't have debt didn't have to run away, right? So please avoid the debt trap. Okay, I think I should have made that white. Maybe is it readable? What is written in the pyramid? It's okay. Anyway, I'll read it out. Now, this is the financial planning pyramid, which I feel must be taught in school and university, or at least before we start working. Before we get our first paycheck, I think it's mandatory, or the government should make it mandatory that we are taught this. Just go to Google, search for financial planning pyramid, okay, and you'll get. So what is the base? Okay, before I get into the details, in life we have unpredictable events and predictable events. Okay, unpredictable is always like sudden sickness, death. Okay, there's some downturn, unemployment, disability, it can be anything. So am I prepared for that? Predictable, of course, are your goals and the expected expenditures, your wedding, university education, right? You want to buy a house, you want to start a business, or your 25th anniversary is coming and you want to give a good gift to your wife, right? So that is a predictable event, right? So if we start looking at the pyramid, what is most important is in the base, you have the emergency fund and the income protection, lifestyle protection. No point in talking about investments if we haven't taken care of the bottom two. Okay? So after that, you get into investments, preserving wealth, and last is estate planning. In this session, we'll maybe mainly focusing on the bottom three. Okay. So the bottom of the pyramid is the emergency fund. So what is the emergency fund? Like suddenly there's news of a very loved one who's very sick, you have to go visit. You have the money to buy the flight ticket. Or you suddenly fall sick and you have to go to emergency, your medical insurance doesn't cover it. You have the money to meet that expense. Or for whatever reason, right? I cannot be sure that tomorrow I won't fall very severely sick, right? So am I able to meet my expenses, my crucial expenses, which could be the rent, my grocery bills, my children's education, right? The utility bills, like these are the essential ones, right? I don't want to be standing on the road just because my salary hasn't come in, isn't it? So all of us must have a kind of nest egg put away. It could be in an FD, it could be in a liquid mutual fund. It should be accessible to you within 24 hours. That's the whole idea. But you can't put a huge chunk because then you're losing out on the investment part. So it should be just about enough where you're parking the fund, and approximately 3 months is enough. Because, God forbid, if something happens, you have it. If not, then you're not blocking too much of your money also, right? So this is the bottom. So how many of us have an emergency fund? Show of hands. Oh, great. Yeah, super. Yeah, so please, see, this exercise is for you to go back and take action. Okay? And by the end of it, if I haven't made all of you uncomfortable, I have failed. Believe me. Yeah, it's not about making you feel happy. Yeah, I mean, you should be like, oh my God, what am I doing in life? I hope I put that feeling into each one of you here. So go back, make sure you work on your emergency fund, work out your expenses. Again, that's why that plan is important. What are your expenses? Do you have a record of your expenses? Okay, everything that follows is based on your plan. Okay. Okay, the next one, the second layer was the income and lifestyle protection. Again, this is to do with unpredictable event. Again, a dry run. Pretend you're not there. Okay. How will the lifestyle of the family be affected? Can they afford to pay the fees? fees. Maybe you aspired to send your children to a particular university. Can they still do it? If not, can they at least afford university fees? How is it going to affect the lifestyle? You know, a friend of mine who's in life insurance, he keeps saying, and it's a very favorite thing, that death is cheaper than critical illness. Because if I'm going to get, say, cancer or stroke or something, the amount that I have to spend for myself is going to be so huge, it's going to be a burden for my family. So if I fall sick, okay, everybody is going to give me fruits and flowers. Who's going to give me the money to look after myself? Or who's going to come with money to give my family if I'm not there? Right? So all these are taken care of when you take a life insurance with critical illness cover. Now, insurance has been so much missold that it's become a bad word in the industry. Right? So any insurance agent come, you're like, oh my God, not another one. Right? But if you do your due diligence, invest with the right company, take cover with the right company, and there's a scientific way of calculating how much you must be covered for. For somebody it could be 1 million, for somebody even 100,000 is fine. So there's a science behind it. There are many factors that we have to take into account when we calculate the cover for you. And again, this is also what you're paying your future self for. If you fall sick, you have already paid the premium now to get that money later. And who can create that instant liquidity for you? Say you've paid 1,000 dirhams and taken a 100,000 cover, and within a week or maybe 1 month, you're diagnosed with some critical illness. So who's going to give you 100,000? You have paid for it yourself. Okay. Some people come back and say, oh, life insurance, I'm paying so much, but if it's term, I'm losing the money, or if it's that, whole of life, I'm only getting this rate of return. But if I invest in mutual fund or something else, I'm going to get a higher rate. But all the other investments don't create instant liquidity. Right? I don't know if I'm coming across, it's clear? So who is going to give you that money? You have to give it yourself. You're just passing on the risk to the company. So if required, the company is going to immediately give you. So you pay 1,000 and you get 100,000. You're getting how many times? Right? So don't see, okay, this is the rate of return. No. Insurance is to be taken for protection. Okay, in the ideal cover, like how we say, drink 8 glasses of water a day, right? The ideal cover should be 10 times your annual salary. As I said, case to case, we take other factors into account. And critical illness, the standard, what they say is 5 times your annual salary. I'll say equal because that can also be equally expensive, right? So what are the factors apart from that 10 times? What do we take into account? If you're not there, are there any loans to be repaid, right? What is the expense to be incurred for your children's education? What is the cost of living? If you have other obligations, all these have to be taken into account before coming to an ideal cover. Okay? This is very, very important. Okay? When I said insurance is being missold, it is being missold as investment. Okay? So it is like you take this amount, you invest this amount, you get this rate of return. So this is a good, investment policy. No. Okay. Insurance is to be given to insurance companies, investment to investment companies. Do not mix the two. Okay. Do not compare the rates of return, nothing. Right. So, and purpose of investing is to grow your wealth. Insurance is not to grow your wealth, it's to protect your lifestyle. Yeah. Okay. So, any questions so far before we move to the next section? Okay. So, before we move on to the third thing, so the first two are clear? Yeah. Before we move to the third stage in the pyramid, one fundamental difference between savings and investments. When I said emergency fund, that is it savings or investments? Savings, right? Because what you put there is going to be safe. Investment is to create passive income, it's to create wealth, right? That's the purpose of investment. Okay, so some people are like, oh, I save a lot. You save a lot, but it's going to sleep there. Unless you invest and make it work for you. Investment, you're making your money work for you. So what you work and directly get is called active income. Your salary is your active income. But if you have a property and you're getting rental out of it, that's passive income. So if I'm sleeping and my money is working for me, I should be glad, right? 24/7 it's working for me. That's investment. Yeah. So we'll be spending some time or most of the rest of the session in the third thing about investments. Yeah. So financial goals. So first and foremost, how do we articulate what is a financial goal? Right? Anything and everything you want to achieve in life is a financial goal. It could be for recreation. I want to go on a world tour. I want to go to X country and settle down. Right? So you have that paper. I mean, I think I should have maybe later you can do it, but I wanted you to actually write down your salary and see whether you're covered and everything, but maybe we'll just skip that part for the, yeah, you can do that later, right? So you can use this worksheet later, calculate your salary, see how much insurance you have, put it down, compare and see whether you're adequately covered, yeah? And the second section is about financial goals. So I've put in a few. As I said, you can always add on. There's no end to it. And so these are some of the examples. Okay.
One question regarding multiple insurances.
Yeah.
Is that normal to have multiple insurances?
It is normal.
There is someone, maybe you forget that you did some insurance wrong, but after 10 years down the lane, again one more insurance guy is coming and saying, why don't you take insurance? So is it actually necessary or is it possible to have two insurances for the same person at the same time?
It is possible to have multiple insurances. No insurance company is going to say no. Okay. But is it required? No. Not required. Not required. Unless there is a drastic change in your lifestyle, and you need additional cover. And when you calculate that, the premium that you're going to pay for increasing the existing cover is much more than taking a new policy. So when you do that comparison and say, okay, I need another $1 million more, but I can pay with lesser premium, I can get a better policy. So you can always go in. Like one of my clients, I think I mentioned, you had 8 insurances. So I closed 7 of them, put them into investment. He has only 1 now. Because it's that, somebody comes and says, this is a good one, this, this fund is there. So that is the issue.
There's a lot of friend pressures also.
Yes.
Oh, he's my friend, take one insurance.
Yeah.
That is in India is too much.
Exactly. So yeah, all you need is one good insurance policy, right? You don't need multiple. So moving on. Okay, now this is very important. We have identified our goals. Okay. I want to have X amount of net worth. I want to retire. Maybe I want to retire in my village in India. Somebody wants to retire in a city. Somebody wants to retire in Emirates Hills. Right? Each of our aspirations are different when it comes to retirement. University also, maybe I'm fine with sending my children to a normal school. Somebody wants to send them to Ivy League. So don't compare. See, the whole point behind this exercise is do not compare. Each of your backgrounds are different. Each of your aspirations are different. Goals are different. So work only for yourself. Share ideas, but don't get influenced by others' ideas. Right? So what are the factors that we have to take into account? We have the plan, we have the goal, right? And we have to know how much we have to save up or invest and have the corpus for to achieve that goal. Starting with inflation. Okay, these are random numbers just to drive home the point. Personally, the amount that I've spent for my own schooling and college, I think I would have spent within 2-3 months for my children. Okay, there's no comparison at all in this day and age to the amount of money that we are spending for each and everything. Yeah, so say 20 years ago, the school fees was 100 per month. So the same school, the same curriculum, the same standard of teaching, I have to pay 1,000 now, right? So what we call the purchasing value of money. Now, money we say 100,000, the numbers look good, 1 million, 2 million, even better. But what we have to understand is the value that we associate with that money, right? So what do I associate? 1,000? 1,000 looks good. But if I'm going to say, oh, 1,000 is going to fetch me the same standard of education for my children, I'm like, okay. Right? So inflation has to be taken into account because 20 years down the line, this can become 10,000. right? So are we taking into account inflation when we plan our goals, right? So when I say 100 and 1000, right? If I had taken 100 dirhams and put it in an envelope and say I've forgotten about it, okay? And one fine day I take it out after say 10 years and I realize, oh, that cover is there, I take out 100. Do you think I can purchase the same value of goods with that 100 that I did 10 years ago? No. So that's called reduction in the purchasing power of money. Okay, as simple as that. Inflation may be a big word. It's just that how much goods I can purchase with the same amount has gone down. Okay, so this has to be taken into account because, you know, it is a guaranteed thing that inflation is going to stay. And they'll make sure, the bankers will make sure there's minimum inflation, right? So to drive home the point, I've taken Mumbai because it's one of the most expensive cities. So what is the inflation rate like? You know, you keep hearing numbers. What is the inflation rate of say UAE? 5%, that's what they, India also something like that. UK to double digit and all that stuff. Now this is the general inflation. How many of us are aware that each and every expense head has its own inflation rate? Right? Rental has a different rate, education has a different rate, medical has a different rate. Every sector or every head of expense has a different inflation rate. Okay, so if I'm living in Mumbai, okay, and I'm paying 30,000 rupees as rent, and rental inflation in Mumbai is 18%. I want to retire there after 20 years. So what amount should I be prepared to pay rent if I want to maintain the same standard of living? 8 lakhs per month. You can't say it's wrong because look back 20 years, what was the rent amount then and what is it now? Okay, numbers have their own story. So are we taking this into account? Or if you talk about education, okay, IIT is subsidized, by the way. Okay, so I'm aspiring, oh, my children will go to IIT. Okay, and in India, inflation rate is 7%. So if it's 3 lakhs and in 20 years, my child has to go, I have to be prepared for 11 per annum. Okay, forget Harvard and Stanley and all these fancy universities, right? We're talking about basic stuff here. So coming down to with these examples, what is present value and what is future value? Okay, exotic terms, but they are not. It's just that if I say in 20 years time, okay, you need to pay 8 lakhs for your rent. So what is my present value? 30. What is the future value? 8 lakhs. So how can you apply this in real life? You have these products, right, where they say come and pay 1 lakh per month or 1 lakh per annum for 10 years and after 15 years you start getting back X amount of money. And it sounds so good, that amount of money. Calculate the present value. Okay, and believe me, you won't go for that product. Right?
Because they would give maybe 6%, 7%.
Yes.
It's not 20% or 80%.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 lakh sounds good now, but 20 years down the line, it's not going. It's going to. I don't know how much it's going to purchase also. Right? Yeah. That is one product. How many of you have come across that product? That's such a common thing, you know, like very common. They say come and put in this money, you're going to be a retirement plan, you're guaranteed this amount. Okay, the minute guarantee comes into the picture, which means that it is so safe that it doesn't grow much. Right? So there's nothing right or wrong. Here I'm not playing the role of a judge, I'm just creating awareness. So there are some people whom I've had a session with, I've spoken to them, but they love that guarantee. You know, no, I feel good if I'm getting that amount for sure. So there are people which it appeals to them, right? But just see whether it's going to meet your needs. Is it going to meet your future needs? Any doubt about present value, future value concept? Because these terms you'll come across when you hear, you know, when you have a product discussion with your banker or somebody. So any doubts about this? No? Okay.
Actually, one doubt.
Yeah.
You're talking about the financial inflation part. How about the aspirational inflation? For example, I used to have a bicycle 5 years ago. Today I have a two-wheeler bike. Tomorrow I want to purchase a car. So that is the kind of aspirational inflation part. So how do we How can
Yeah, that is also there, no? Aspiring for a better lifestyle. So what you mean by, what is your definition of better lifestyle? Maybe it's for me, it's moving from a 3-bedroom to a duplex apartment. For somebody else, it could be moving into a villa. As you say, moving from a sedan into a 4-wheeler. So 5 years down the line, I'm imagining that I have to drive this kind of vehicle. So again, find out the cost, see the inflation for that, factor in the increase in your diesel or petrol prices. Will you be able to afford that? Otherwise, save up and invest. It's the same thing. It comes as part of it. Okay, now this is my most favorite slide. Okay, if you understand this, okay, objective met. I'll put it that way. Okay, what is the compound interest formula? A is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100, the whole power n. What we study in grade 7, grade 8, but apply it in real life, right? On top you have the percentage, on left you have the number of years. This is compounding, it is not withdrawing as the money grows, okay? So just see the difference. There you have 5, 10, 15. These are, we like the multiples of 5, so I've taken those numbers, okay? So if I'm going to play it safe, I keep all my money in a very safe place, it grows at say 5%. Okay, 100,000, it could be pesos, INR, dollar, dirham. Imagine the currency, it's your choice. So my 100,000, how long does it take to double? 15 years at 5%. Right? How quickly you double your money, the quicker your net worth grows. At say 15%, it doubles in 5 years' time. Okay, at 20%, it doubles in 4 years' time. Now at 10 years or at 5 years, you can say, it's just double. That's 127, this is 248. Not that big a difference, right? I still prefer to be safe. But you see, most of the millionaires, they have this explosion of wealth when they are in their 40s and 50s. Why? Because they have been compounding at a better rate. So just see at, say, 15 years, where do you stand if you stuck to 5%? It's only doubled, but look at this, it's become 15 times. It's 1.5 million. So what is important? That you save money. You control your expenses, you save your money. What is important next is how you invest that money, at what rate you invest your money. Right? Applying this correctly in the right allocation is going to lead to what your net worth is going to be at the end of the day. Right? And if you have 30 years time, see the difference, 23 million, and that's not even touched a million. Right? How many of you like this slide? Yeah? Okay, this is a very old newspaper clipping, another favorite, so forget that smoking and all that there. You can imagine pizza, you can imagine, shopping for luxury goods, any expense to which you feel is small, but which satisfies your craving. It makes you feel good. Okay, it could be perfume, buying those nice perfumes. Okay, it could be a handbag. So say every month you say, this amount I'm going to spend on myself, I'm going to treat myself. Okay, that amount. Okay, so take this monthly amount. Again, forget rupees, it can be dirhams or any currency. So monthly I'm spending 4,500. Okay, and in a year I'm spending 54,000, because at a point in time I'm only spending 300, so it's not a big amount. Okay, and if I'm going to say that every year the price of that product is going to increase by 12%. Now we've seen inflation is different across different sectors, right? So maybe what you want is a luxury sector and it keeps increasing. So in 30 years I would have spent 1.3 crores. Okay, I would have spent 1.3 crores. Now imagine you're denying yourself that luxury. Requires a lot of willpower, of course. Okay, but it's to drive home the point of how even small savings can lead to a big corpus. Okay, you're denying yourself that luxury and you're going to invest that at 12%. Okay, invest that, and every year instead of spending 12% more, you're going to invest 12% more. Okay, in 30 years time, what will be your amount? The same compounding, we're just taking an example, that's all. Okay, if I had invested the same thing at 8%, I'm still a safe investor. Instead of having spent 1.3, I'll be having nearly 3 crores in my account. Okay. I take a little risk. At 10%, I will be having 3.7 crores in my account. And at 15%, 8 crores in my account. Right? So who wants to save more and invest better? Yeah? So don't think, oh, it's too small, it's okay to spend. If you can cut down, think of your future self. Will you be happy with 8 crores in your account? I would be happy. Right? So if there's some need which you're indulging in but which can be employed better, please do it. Yeah, nothing like starting early. Okay, very important. Okay, somebody will say, what's your net worth? Right? What's your net worth? Assets minus liabilities. Okay, oh, my net worth is so and so. So, what is an asset? Examples of assets, please. Okay. Jewelry. Sorry? No, I can't hear that. Only property and jewelry. Car, okay. Huh? Insurance, okay. Savings, yeah. Fine. Okay, so car and insurance. So what we've understood, the textbook definition is everything we own is an asset. Correct? If it's in my name, it's an asset. The laptop I have bought is an asset. The car I have bought is an asset. In practical terms, everything that grows in value or gives you an income is an asset. So in that case, is car an asset?
No. It's a liability.
Yeah. Your laptop, any electronics. Okay? It makes you feel good, yes, to have the latest phone. But it's not an asset. Gold is an asset, diamond is not. Because you buy diamond jewelry, you pay, within 5 minutes you return, it's going to be, he's not going to take it back at the same value. Yes, yes. So, the definition of asset, we need to reset in our mind. Right? What we own is not asset. Is that going to give me an income? Is that going to grow in value? Or at least retain its value? Forget growing. Is it at least going to retain its value? Right? That is an asset. Everything else is a liability. As simple as that. Liability definition is very simple. Okay? So again, I would like you to go back, walk through this sheet, write down what your real assets are, put everything else at liability and see what your net worth is. Yeah? Anybody else has a different view about asset? Okay. Okay. So we come to asset allocation. Okay. So what are our common assets, right? Gold, real estate, mutual funds, equity, fixed deposits. Anything else?
Stock.
Yeah, that comes under equity, correct? Yeah. We are not talking about cryptos, bitcoins, right? No. Right? Those are not even, I don't know what to classify them as. So we'll talk about regulated entities. Okay, so these are the things. Yeah, that volatility will be there. Volatility is different from risk. That's a different thing.
For rental also,
Yeah.
can be very.
Yes.
Gold also could go down.
Yes. Yeah. But there's a basis to it, right? So if you see historically, gold has increased in value by about 2%. Okay, if you look at the price of gold, say 20 years to now or 30 years to now, 2% it's grown. So those who are investing in gold, I'm not talking about buying jewelry for your personal use. We are not talking about personal stuff here. Those who are saying, oh, I'm buying gold for investment, just be aware about the rate at which it's growing. It's not even beating inflation, right? Sorry? Whatever it is, no, anything to do with gold. As I said, there are some investments called debt investments. Now I'm using a technical term here. Debt has two meanings. One is loan. I have taken debt, and the other one is a class of securities which are very safe. That is also called debt. Okay. Gold and real estate belong to the debt category, which means they're so safe that you can't expect too much growth in that. Yeah. So if you see rental income also, 4% is definitely on the higher side. So you're saying that, okay, I have a lot of real estate. Okay, just be aware of the increase in your net worth. Yeah. Now, fixed deposits, right? So many people love fixed deposits. If you see, many people say, oh, the rate is increasing, I'm going to invest more in fixed deposit, right? Now the interest rates have risen, banks have increased, so that is a better one. But be aware that the inflation rate is there, which is eating into the value of money. Fixed deposit is mostly 1% above that. So you're retaining the purchasing power, you're not growing your wealth with fixed deposit. Yeah. And that leaves mutual funds and equity and the other categories. So how, as I said, two people can be earning the same amount. 20 years, completely different scenario, because they would have done this asset allocation in a different way. Somebody would have been more into equity, somebody would have been more into gold and real estate, right? So asset allocation is what determines your net worth. That is the most crucial part of it. Yeah.
What about currencies?
Currencies, if you know how to play the game, you make good money. Definitely. But it's very volatile. Very risky. It's like, see, if you want to take risk with 5% of your net worth. If it goes also, it's okay. It's not going to affect you too much. Max 5%. So, currency depreciation. Yeah. Now, currency depreciation is a big funda word that is used everywhere. To understand it practically, if I have to... Okay. Do we need a break? Or do we go on?
No.
Okay. So, maybe 20 years ago, okay, to purchase $1, okay, I had to spend 48 rupees. Okay. Now it has doubled. I have to spend 82 rupees to get $1. Okay. So, I have to pay more to get the same unit, which means my currency has weakened. Okay. That is currency depreciation. Okay. Now, dirham to USD is pegged, so I need not bother too much living in UAE. But when does it affect me? When I start saving in a currency. So I'm sending my money back to India, I'm investing it, all that stuff. But I'm planning to send my children to US. Actually, I have to spend in dollars. Right? So I say, oh, I'm growing it at this rate. Great. At the end of this, I'm going to have so many lakhs. But when I have to convert it back to USD and I have to pay that tuition fees in USD, right? Am I prepared for it? It's not. So currency, be careful as to what your goal is. Okay, if I'm going to retire in a particular country, many people are taking the Georgian passport and Portugal passport and all that stuff, right? So all that is also happening, Canadian passport. So what is your end goal? Are you having a basket of investments in that currency so you're not affected by depreciation much? Right? So currency depreciation affects our future goals. If we are saving in one currency, but my goal is in a different currency. Yeah? Okay, so now we've moved on to, we've kind of covered the basics. Just to make you aware of the two most common goals, I would say, what all to take into account. So when it's university education, see, out of practical experience I'm talking, my son is doing the final year of masters. Okay, so luckily both me and my husband being in the same field, we were well prepared for it. But many of his classmates' parents have had to downsize, have had to do so many adjustments to be able to pay the fees. Because when you go to an education consultant, you don't get the full picture of the expenses. Sometimes it's double of what they had budgeted for. So when you're planning to send your children to a particular university, say in US or Canada, or it could be India also, make sure you take everything into account, including the flight tickets, including the clothing they have to. Everything matters. In some places, the cost of study material is so high, right? UK, it's exorbitant, the amount. Right? So just, I know many of you are very young, but when you start planning, please take everything into account when you plan for university education. Right? Otherwise, you have to downsize, you have to compromise on your lifestyle. right? Let's avoid that. And another common goal is retired life. As I said, it's never too early to plan for retirement. So if I'm going to say I want to retire in Goa in a particular kind of villa, like what is the rent there, how much is it going to cost for medical, what are the expenses I'm going to incur, right? So everything take into account and start planning for it, right? And this is the risk profile. Now, risk profile, if you say it's like, the bank will categorize you into a particular risk profile, right? Either you're conservative or balanced or aggressive. But an individual can be, depending on the investment, he can be aggressive in one and conservative in one, right? So don't think that being conservative means it's only for people who are above 50 and all that stuff. Maybe I want one part of my investment to be safe, so I'm conservative in that. Maybe 10% of my money I want it to grow at 20%, I'm aggressive in that. Okay, so conservative means you want to preserve capital, balanced capital stability, and the last one is aggressive is you can risk capital loss for growth. Okay, now as I said, it's a misnomer that conservative is only for the the 50 plus. I have seen people who are first generation wealth creators. Their parents were having very normal middle class life and they are the ones creating wealth. They tend to be more safe, they tend to be more conservative. So it's got nothing to do with age or country or anything. It is your nature, it is what you want. So there's nothing right or wrong about it. Okay, and just a little tidbit, like when somebody comes and approaches you for investment, make sure it is regulated first and foremost, right? Do not fall in for heavy returns. Anybody says big amounts, and guarantee, especially the word guarantee, make sure you do your homework. Yeah, it has to have a good credit rating, and it has to see the past performance. Try to avoid funds which are new. See at least if it has at least 4-5 years history, because if it's a new fund manager, you have no idea how he's going to handle your money, right? And things that are not normally discussed when somebody's pitching an investment product is, what is the lock-in period? There are some investments you get in and then you realize you want to take it out. No, you're paying a charge for it. Okay, so see if there's a lock-in period and see if there are any charges. What are the charges? Now, charges eat away into your investment, right? So be very conscious of how much that investment is charging on your profit, right? Is it 1%, 2%? Compare that also. Okay. Taxation, of course, if it's not in the UAE. Okay. So next we move on to, how many of us have credit card loans? Okay, one hand. Credit card loans.
Credit cards, everyone has.
Yeah, credit card all of us have. Yeah. And personally, the credit card company must be hating us because we use the credit card and pay it off. We don't let them charge us interest. So I think 4-5 hands went up, right? Yeah. So it's tempting. Okay, why? Because the credit card company is making money out of you. So just imagine for 10,000, you've bought something on credit card. You want the phone or laptop or whatever it is. So you've bought it, you've started enjoying the product. In 10 months, you've paid them 1,350 extra. Okay? The same thing, if I'm going to save 1,000, forget the bigger numbers. Simple 5% I'm getting. At the end of instead of buying at the beginning of 10 months, I'm going to buy at the end of 10 months. I have an extra 416 in my pocket. Makes sense? Yeah? So please avoid credit card loans. It's so tempting. People have been ruined because of credit card loans. Right? Who wants this extra 416? Huh? Okay, these are the books that you can read. Yeah, so there's a difference between following somebody who gives advice and learning from a mentor. These are the people who have actually achieved in life, who have become millionaires from nothing. Okay? Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Amazing. Right? Many of the concepts I discussed here was also from his thing. Millionaire Next Door, another amazing book. And The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay, it's a parable, it's a story. But the lessons that can be taken from that are, life lessons. Again, a textbook material thing. Imagine 11th and 12th graders having this as the textbook. Yeah, the whole world will change. Okay, maybe this alone we can do a little exercise. Okay, so you have your annual income, like you have the notes if you want to write in that. So just take that and multiply it with your age. You're not going to tell this to me, it's for yourself, right? Use your calculator. It's a simple thing, one multiplication and division. So just take your annual income and multiply it with your age. Annual income will include not just your salary, it will include any rental income, it will include, any income, dividend income. Yes? So once you multiplied that, divide it by 10. Okay, you're getting a number, right? Your net worth has to be at least that number. If it is not, that means you're overspending, you're not investing properly. Now this has been taken from the Millionaire Next Door book. They've studied multimillionaires, like hundreds of them, and this is one of the concepts that they've brought out in the book, right? So if it is double, right, which means you're absolutely doing an amazing job, yeah. And if it is less, then it's better that you do course correction, right? So your annual income into your age divided by 10. Your annual income multiplied by your age divided by 10. Yeah, so that amount, when you calculate your net worth, when you go back, calculate your net worth, okay, it's your personal exercise, your net worth, are they matching? It has to be at least that. If not, it means that you're not investing and saving properly. You have to do course correction. Okay, no two ways about it. It's like a checkup, right? A quick blood sample checkup. Okay, there's something wrong. We have to do further tests and we have to take medicines. I don't want the numbers. Yeah, right? So take this as the that litmus test they call it, right?
So if you don't consider, like if you have a property, let's say we have a property, when we consider our asset, we are not allowed to consider that as an asset because you're part of your net worth, I mean, because now
no, it is no.
It can be.
Yeah, net worth is your asset, whatever you own, and it grows or at least.
It's not growing because it's a property, right? So then how do I add it to my net worth?
Okay, land you can take if you have just land. Yes, land you can, because see, land and gold are like someday it will. Like yes, you're not going to lose money out of the land. So land is fine. Land and property come into that category.
So you can add it.
Aram se it'll grow. Okay. Yeah, we can. Yeah, so take this as a litmus test to see whether you're financially healthy. Right? If not, please take corrective action.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
Do we run this only for ourselves or each of our family members? As in, do I have to run this for my wife as well to see that? Because is it my net worth, is it enough for my entire family, or do I have to
It's for your family.
For the family.
Yeah. Unless she is an independent, financial person, like now she's having independent income, she has a career, and she's having her own set of assets, and you're seeing it differently. It's like then you can do it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's for the family. Yeah. It is for the family. Yeah. Because if we see family is one unit, we don't see them as separate.
Correct. Another question is, you mentioned that 20% is on investment is generated from equity. Is what 20% is typically the number. Now, with all these new mobile apps coming for investment, even into stocks abroad. Okay, because you could buy Tesla stocks just sitting on a mobile app.
Yes.
Just put some $100, $200 also, it is possible. How would you recommend, or based on these kind of investments, to typical where is it better that you invest in your own country, or how do you find this balance about?
Yeah, nice question. See, we have to be aware of that Tesla, okay, maybe based in a particular country, but it's generating sales from all over the world.
Okay.
So that concept of one country, one company catering to one country is gone,
Yeah.
right? So the apps are there. That has also led to the ruin of many people, because at the click of a button we are able to get in and out of the stock market.
Correct.
If I have selected my company in a very careful way, okay, the example that I normally give is two farmers. One does complete due diligence, makes sure that the land is fertile, selects the right crop, and he harvests. Okay, and the other farmer who just on hearsay buys land, and he just does because his friend is sowing some crop, he's using the same crop. Now, whom will I invest with? I will invest with the first farmer,
Correct.
because I know.
Well-planned and-
Yes. Same with companies. If I see that the top management is doing its work, then I would prefer to invest there. Compared to maybe I can help a friend. He can say, I'm running a business, I need money urgently. I have to be conscious that it's helping, I'm not investing. If that company, if I know my friend has done complete due diligence and then he asks for money and I'm happy with what I see, then I'm investing. Otherwise, I'm helping. Okay? And these two farmers are there, and somebody comes and shouts, he's bought it for say 1,000, and he comes and shouts, the value of this land is 500. Okay, and the first farmer will not panic because he knows the value of his land. Same when I invest in a company, I'm taking part ownership of that company. So if I have done my due diligence, I will not panic because the market says market noise makes it fall down. Right? I mean, Trump can give a statement, Powell can give a statement, and God knows overnight the markets are falling. My company is doing well, it's generating revenue, it's growing at a good rate. Why would I panic and sell?
So there are a lot of external factors.
External, what we call the market noise. If I haven't done my due diligence is when I panic.
Yeah, for example, there's a lot of noise that the dollar can crash anytime. There's a lot of noise happening.
Dollar crashes, the whole world crashes. US sneezes, we all catch a cold. Every time, 2011 also the same thing happened. No, the last minute they'll come to a deal and they'll push it through. So that's why the market actually hasn't factored in that. If you see, they haven't factored in that the US debt is going to collapse. No, they are. The market knows by now. Okay, you make noise, the politicians, we'll carry on with life. Yeah. So investment is a very tricky game. As I said, going by hearsay and investing is very risky. If I have done my due diligence, or I have taken expert like Motley Fool, Alpha, and Seeking Out, so many things are there. I read through, I understand, and then I'm investing. I won't panic so much. Warren Buffett, he exited banking stocks much before the banking crisis because he was going through the reports. He knew they were creating problem.
Yeah, because 3 banks crashed
Yes,
already.
he exited them. One he was holding on for I think 30 years, but he exited because he said the management was taking short-term money and putting it into long-term. He could make out, but balance sheet is available to all the fund managers. How many of them saw that?
Correct.
So it depends on my expertise. Yeah. So anyway,
On this ideal network, actually, if a person has got more dependents, okay, then how we can decide about a healthy network? Because somebody will have 10 dependents, maybe somebody will have 5, somebody will have none, nobody, only that person will be there. So in such scenarios, how do we decide about that ideal network for that person?
yeah. So that again, that's why I said this is a kind of litmus test. When we go in and say these expenses are justified, you have dependents, you have parents, you have say some cousins you're taking care of, then definitely those are essential expenses. So this is like if you're not meeting, we go back and say, okay, these are essential, then definitely your net worth is going to be affected.
We
Right?
have to take that factor also into consideration.
Yes. So if you haven't met this, go back and say, are these essential expenses or not? If they are, definitely you have to meet them. If they aren't, cut back. Right? I mean, the whole thing is about family. If you're not taking care of your family to grow wealth, it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
for example, two people.
Yeah.
Person A has got ideal net worth.
Yeah.
For example, 400,000.
Yeah.
Another person also has got the same net worth.
Yeah.
But the person A has got only 5 dependents. other person has got 10 people.
Yes.
So that means the second person
Yeah.
is weaker.
Correct. So this is just a litmus test. It is not a death sentence, no?
Not a detailed
Yeah. There's no, see, the whole thing is nothing right or wrong. As I said, it's all individual thing. These are just general guidelines, I would say, what we are sharing here. So there's nothing to feel bad about if this number is not reached, and there's a justifiable reason. Some people have to take care of their dependents till they are 30 and then they start saving, right? Help their siblings get educated. So those are important commitments. If you're not doing that for your family, then I wouldn't encourage, sacrificing family for money, right? So this is just a litmus test, yeah? Okay, yeah? So how many of you are very happy with the presentation? How many of you feel, wow, I feel so good? I hope not. Yeah? So anyway, the questions, Mr. Rakesh had sent these questions yesterday. Let me finish these and then we'll take the other questions. So investments options for a low income person. Now, offhand, now, see, I have to understand the person's risk profile and, so many other things. But mutual funds are very safe. ETFs are very safe, right? For somebody who's earning very low but wants to invest part of it to grow well. Okay, so take this with a pinch of salt. Unless I know your particular risk profile and income and everything, I won't be able to give solid reply. How much I need for retirement? I think by now you know how to calculate, right? Who asked this question? Saving and investment we've covered. For irregular income, okay, somebody has irregular income, how do you save? So you know the minimum expense, right? The emergency fund, what is that amount per month? So that amount, apart from that, every month, whatever is extra, take it and invest and save. So 1 month you get 5,000, another month 10,000. You could manage with 5, so don't increase your expenses the next month. Take the balance 5 and invest, right? So that's how you can build a corpus, not by increasing your expenses when your income is higher. And how to generate passive income, we've seen. Investing wisely, as simple as that. Yeah. Taking loan for investment is the best idea. Leverage is never encouraged. Leverage is a very, very dangerous game, especially if you're starting off on this investment journey. Please avoid it. Yeah, it's to be played by really sophisticated investors. Yeah, there are people who take leverage who've made big money. Don't get tempted by that. Advice on investing in share market. I'm not giving tips or anything. If you're giving money to a friend, charity is different from business. Don't mix the two. Right? Take expert advice and then invest. And read up. You educate yourself. Right? Again, what is not covered in school, Google is there, books are there. Don't blame. Take ownership for your own decisions. Read up about them and then invest. Yeah? Don't take it for granted. Don't go by tips. And
one thing I think what people need to understand when they invest in share market or even mutual funds, it's always a long term. There should be a long term.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that also.
Yeah.
So that's where you will see your money grow.
Yes.
You are just looking at, say, maybe like 10 years I want to be a millionaire.
No,
out of this.
no.
Now that is
No.
not done.
Yeah, that's an important point actually.
Has to be
Yeah.
an organic growth.
Yes.
Everywhere in life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it cannot that immediately. So that means you are gambling or doing.
Yes.
You can become cheating.
Yes. Yeah, good. Actually, I should have mentioned it. Investing in the stock market is always a long-term play. Okay. If you need the money in 2 years, do not put it in the stock market. Imagine, say, a sibling's wedding is coming up, and I had that money. And 2019, I had invested that in the stock market, and the wedding was in 2020. What would have happened? Right? It would have been wiped
But in
out.
the stock market, whenever you're investing, it should be like organic. You need to again keep investing.
Yes, compounding. Yes.
You need to put maybe at least 500 dirhams
Yes.
every month so that it can go properly.
Yes, that SIP mode. Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yes.
Not that just keep
No,
something
no.
that you start playing with that.
No.
That's
Stock market is not a gambling house. It is not for gambling. People lose money when gambling. Okay, stock market is a genuine place to make money. Those who are serious about it. So be serious about it. Even if it's little amount, in mutual funds you can start off with a little amount. You don't need a huge corpus, and always money that you don't need for the short term, right?